You know, sometimes you just want to look for an escape. Escape from like your problems, basically from the world in general. And I can understand that, you know. Like I usually just go to the gym, try to work out and then come back. But it never really works to escape your problems. It's only like a small part of the day. It's nice, it gets your mind off some things and it kind of calms you down a little bit. For others, you could have a different way of coping. I know some people that draw and then they just draw out their problems. You just got to find that one thing that you do. I noticed that some people read, which not too many people do these days. They want to be lost in a world. Like a lot of people play video games, to be honest. It's like their own way of controlling their own life through this character. And honestly, that's pretty awesome. If not, it's either just to destroy a bunch of things online too. But, you do what you got to do. I know it's not the easiest thing out there to actually like live your own life. I know it's pretty difficult to do, especially because you're always just trying so hard. Don't ever think of it as like you're also failing at everything that you do, because I guarantee you that you're not. You're just literally just making mistakes along the way, but that's what we all do. Now, as for a way of finding an escape, finding some way to cope, I guess try picking up a different hobby. Try picking up something that you didn't think you'd do. Try picking up something that you wanted to do, like dance. Try a sport, boxing, honestly. There's many different things to picking up. The hard part that I find is paying for them. That is mostly the biggest issue, is that you got to pay for these things. Nowadays everybody has like a YouTube channel or YouTube tutorial to actually like look these things up, see how to do them, on your own. I noticed a few people actually try it and they were trying to make their own like, mini gym, but that kind of got shut down. And plus, problems happen. So I just say don't give up on what you're trying to do, what you're trying to pick up, because you have to find some form to escape your problems. Not forever, just for the time being, just for that temporary moment. Because eventually your problems will come back. They're not going to go anywhere. Now, I always I always found everything interesting, from like even playing basic video games to fighting to drawing, even reading. Reading only when I want to, though, not whenever anybody else tells me to read, because then it's not more of a form of escaping, it's more of a go ahead and do this kind of a thing. I know that when we were little, we were just told to read these books, we were told to read like in general, which made me just not want to read. And I feel like most people nowadays have that issue, which is the main reason they don't really pick up a book anymore. But books are interesting. As for drawing, I love to draw. And I know a lot of people draw out their feelings in their own form, in their own way of art. And from what I know, you are the only person that knows what to draw. Like you create your own story that way, how you're feeling. And then we get to the people who are taking out their rage, their anger, their sadness into like sports and activities, dancing, dancing how you feel, feeling the rhythm, feeling the music that's like flowing through your body and like unleashing it out, basically relieving that stress. Some people even meditate, which personally is the one thing I can't really understand, because I'm gonna be honest, I just nap. I'm gonna be honest, I just like sleep through whatever meditation I try to do, because it doesn't work. At least for me. And I've actually try to meditate, like relax, holding my breathing. You know, if I could see it helping a few people, relaxing their muscles, relaxing their bodies. It's not for everybody, but if meditating works for you, you got to try it. Some things you just got to try, because you don't know, they can help you. Now, as for mostly what I do is go to the gym. And, you know, every day I work out a different part of my body and make myself stronger. I mostly just make myself stronger for my own purposes and for my own reason. Most people try to go for the looks. Most people try to just be stronger for themselves, which honestly you should mostly do. Uh, but working out all parts of your body, not just like your arms, not just your legs, not just your chest, everything. That way your body can actually just be in balance. It's pretty hard to go consistent, I'm not gonna lie. Your muscles are gonna get sore, and it gets to you. Like, eventually you just feel lazy. I know some people want to try to do better, but they can't. But don't give up on that motivation, because you have to really push yourself to get up and go. You don't even have to go to the gym. You just gotta go work out, go on a run, go do something, go do minor push-ups, go do work out at home. If you can't work out at home, like I just can't. Home for me is just like, I go here, I come, and I stay here. I don't do much, but it's my way to get outside of the world, if anything. But go to a park if you have time. Do something away from home, I'd say, because if home is where the problems are, you have to find some way or some location. And there's plenty of areas too. If you are lucky and you have a high view, I like going to views and just looking out to the city or to whatever it is, like an ocean maybe, if you live close to an ocean. If not, just the sky in general, especially if it's dark at night. Honestly, it really just depends on your location and where you are. So be careful on that part. But anyway, when you do find your moment of happiness, moment to be just yourself, like away from your problems, use it. And I mean use it in a good way. Because take what you have at that moment, feel what you feel, and then when you come back to your problems, when you come and face them, the way I see it is, you had a moment to relax. Now you have a moment to focus. And when you focus on your problems, you actually become more aware of what you're going to do, more aware of what your next move is. And I think it's better to have some kind of awareness rather than just already going in with a bunch of anxiety, already going in like basically praying for, or not praying for the worst, but like expecting the worst. And a lot of people have a saying where they say, I keep my expectations to the lowest, so that way you don't expect, or like, you just expect disappointment. So by expecting disappointment, you don't get disappointed. That's one way of thinking. And like I said in a previous podcast, you also have the opposite, where when you have high expectations and they're not met, then you also get disappointed too. Now, that doesn't go to say that you should always expect the minimum or expect the most positive one. But just go in with, I'd say, a regular expectation. And do not get your hopes up. But also, don't give up on hope. The reason I say is that you have to find some way to escape, find your roots, is because most people don't really have one nowadays. As far as I know, as far as the people I've met, they're always just thinking about their next problem and how they're going to solve it, and they don't really have either a day off or they don't really have something to do. Like they graduated high school, they've met life, and then not life is just kicking them in the ass. It's really tough. And just to see people not having a day for their fun or something. Now, the only reason I do say to have your own escape, like your own method, is because if you do go out and you're like a hyper energetic person, You're going to go see concerts. You're going to go see like multiple like you're basically out for a social life. That's all fine. But I don't want to put that as an escape, because at that point you're putting others with you. And with other people, it's not your escape. It's you're you're basically creating a bond with them, yes, but you're expecting them to be your escape, which is why it shouldn't be. Because you can't really expect people to show up just for you. Because everybody's going through their own stuff right now, and you can't really blame them either for not showing up, for not keeping their word, for backing out, you know? Or like when you're like, I needed you kind of a thing. The thing is that like everybody has some kind of problem going on with them now. And you also have to respect that. So if your plans do get canceled, if your plans change, you still have that form of escaping. I know a lot of people, especially most of my guy friends, just play video games. Why? Because it's their own world. I know some girls that do it too. It's their own world. Like they can do whatever they want. They don't really have any expectations for people. But at the same time, they didn't expect too much. They know the people that they hang out with. At least they've learned. And now some people go out and drive. Some people go out hiking. Some people go out and explore the world. Or at least parts of their neighborhoods that they never explored before. Like a new trail. Or like one of the things I did like is one of my friends actually spotted a new place of where I lived, and I've lived here forever. And we went on this new trail, and I was like, where did this pop out of? And there are some new things in your neighborhood that you just don't know about. Or just walking, you got to get outside of your house is the main thing too, because it for most people their house is a form of just relaxing, not doing anything, and just being here. And the only reason I accept drawing and video games, even like working out, dancing in your own home and whatnot, like any option, you can, because it is your house, it is your escape. However, I also recommend going outside. That way, if you do have family, maybe they're bugging you, and or if you don't really have the space, you're living with somebody else, that's when I say go out, be on your own. Look out something that you never really experienced before. New locations. If you have money, go to a random museum and learn something new. Distract your mind from what is the problem for the time being. Because I guarantee you, it will help your mind relax, and it will help you focus more on your problem to come. Now, when it comes to coping, I know not everybody has the best response. Some people don't feel comfortable, basically. When you go up to them and you're like, hey, I have a serious issue or have like a problem, a lot of people don't have that expertise, that comfortness, and they don't know what to do. First, I'm going to just talk about the people that are in need of help, and then I'll talk about if you are one of those friends that is chosen to be, or yeah, I guess to be the person who is confronting the person. I'll at least give you a little bit of advice, but it really just depends on the situation. So for the person that is coping, the reason I mentioned escapes before is because it is the best way to deal with, whatever you're dealing with, obviously depending on the situation. But for example, even the smallest thing is a heartbreak. When you break up with somebody, just be in your own little world. Like I said, you can dance it off. If you're, a fighter, go ahead and punch a punching bag. Let all that emotion out, Or, like I said, draw it out. That's why you have your escapes. You can cope the way you want to cope. Go to a friend and talk. After you're alone. You got to be alone for a little bit. Then you can go and talk about it, because that way you at least unleash all of whatever it is that you were holding up inside at that moment. And then, like I said, you relax, you think a little better, and you don't bombard your friend or whoever it is about what exactly happened in your situation. Like a family member could have passed away and you don't know how to deal with it. Your escape should just be your escape. And the way you cope with it, it's what heals you. And friends, family, they would also heal you as well. So, from my experience, I've seen a lot of people that jump straight into helping or into talking to people about their situations and endlessly bombarding them about everything that's going on in their lives. That's not always the best thing to do, because then they feel either two things: a responsibility that they need to do whatever it takes to help you, but if you can't get helped, or if it's too overwhelming for them and they got issues going on, they don't even tell you that they're going to drop you. They're just going to drop you, or they're going to tell you the other way around, where it's like, look, I got too much to deal with on my own, I can't help you, and probably be pretty rude to you. But if you already managed to do your little escape moment, maybe for a day or two, and then go out talking to your friends, then go out like telling your families and stuff in small bits, you start to think like, this is what happened, this is my situation, I just need to vent out, or can you help me out with this situation, basically. After that, they're more likely to see the other side of you, where you're not completely impacted, basically. Well, you're still going to be impacted, don't get me wrong, but you're not fully, unfocused. And they're much easier to help you out there. So that's why I say you got to find some type of escape. Now, as for if you're the person that the person is going towards and telling you their situations, I usually am one of those people where everybody just tells me their problems and stuff. But whenever I do hear like everybody's situations, what's going on, how can I help them, basically, the first thing I do is always just listen and ask minor questions. For example, I've had a friend who told me that his sister passed away, and it was not the best or easiest thing for him to do. And well, I get, obviously it wasn't the best thing for him to lose, but he lost his sister, and that really kind of like tumbled down throughout his whole life. And he thinks about her every day, don't get me wrong, but it was a very difficult situation for him, for his family, and apparently he got taken most of the blame for it. He feels that way. Maybe he did, maybe, I don't know. I was never there. But that doesn't matter, because it was his experience, what he felt, what he was going through. So he came to me, and pretty sure multiple other friends, multiple other people. But whenever they do cope, whenever they do vent out to you, first thing you got to do is just listen. Listen to everything they have to say. Any details, don't bring up too much or too many questions that you're just curious about, like how did they die? How did they pass away? You don't want to bring out too many memories that'll distract them. Let them tell you whenever they're ready. That way you don't get bombarded with too much information, and you can still have the focus to help them out, like of what they need. And from what I do as well, I don't really tell them that everything's going to be all right. I don't really tell them that, oh, it's going to take time to heal, it's going to pass. No. I cannot make false promises like that. That's just, I feel dishonest at that point, because you don't know what life's going to throw your way. So what I do is I literally tell them, so what are you going to do next? And after that, they answer. And usually it's always, I don't know, or kind of a thing. I don't really tell them to go ahead and figure that out, but I tell them, well, let's figure it out together, basically. Because you're not there, you're there to help them, to try to fix them so they can get back on track. You're not there to fully repair them, because they do need to have the strength to repair themselves. That way, if something ever strikes again, they know how to repair themselves and they know how to heal themselves, and you are not giving out too much energy. It really does, like I said, depend on the situation that people are given and how much you can take, how much they can take. But always the first thing you got to do is just listen. And obviously don't ask too many questions, like I said, but if you really, really are curious, they will tell you with time. That is how trust, I believe, is built. So don't go like bombarding them with questions either. That could destroy them even more. People will tell you when they're ready. Now, a lot of people say that there's a way to cope. There's a good way, there's a bad way. You should really like only choose this way or only choose that way, but let people be what they want to be. Everybody has a different way of coping. Everybody has a different escape. For example, I know somebody who loves to fight. And honestly, they were supposed to train me a little bit in fighting. I don't know when that's going to happen or not. But they did recently just have like a huge breakup with one of his girlfriends. And the only reason I say that is because it was kind of like a back-to-back situation. But that's another time. Anyway, all he does is use his emotion to fight. And it's at first, even I thought it was like a little weird to just go to the ring and just like spar it out. But everybody has a different way of coping, and his was basically punching a bag. And he's a pretty good guy. He's a pretty good guy. Don't get me wrong. But he definitely needs to hit something. And the only way to let out his emotion is through working out, or I guess hitting some like a sandbag or something. Not an actual person. That's something even I believe that he can never do, except in a ring. But anyway, I also know other people that just do straight up meditation. So that's why this podcast or this episode is mostly just about finding your own way to cope, finding your own way to find peace within yourself whenever you have a bad day, whenever you have a bad experience, or just to get something off of your mind. The only reason I don't mention socializing and partying and going out is because, yes, that might, give you a full-on escape, a full-blown effect. But like I said, it creates bonds and expectations for your friends to be there. Not all the time, don't get me wrong, but it is better to find something on your own. Because I'm not saying that you can't rely on anybody. It's for those moments where you just need to be alone. Friends are awesome. Don't ever say that you don't have any friends, because you gotta have somebody out there. You can always go ahead and talk to somebody, make some friends, make some people want to know you. Don't be desperate, obviously, but you gotta find somebody out there. It may take time. You might feel alone for the longest time, but like I said previously, there's other ways, finding people, finding help. But for now, if you are going through a difficult time, always find a way to escape. And now that I think about it, one thing that you should never do is just eat. like I've noticed actually now that like I'm reminiscing a little bit, a lot of people do eat either snacks or just go out to a fast food restaurant and just eat out or do something. I feel like at that point you're eating through depression or eating through sadness. So I wouldn't recommend it as a coping mechanism, as an escape either. But yeah, no, I can't even recommend it. Sorry, because you're just eating through depression. At that point, it could be bad for your body. I've always stated that I'm not like the therapist, psychologist, or anything, but throughout these episodes, I'm gonna say that all I see and all I recommend doing, everything that I suggest, is only through the experience through my eyes, through what I've seen people go through. Uh, Maybe I haven't seen the worst, maybe I haven't seen the best, maybe I'm not even close. But like I said, this is just only through my experience. So take this upon how you wish and how you want. I am only trying here to do my best to help, even if it's just somebody, someone. So I I really really hope somebody just listens to these and just makes their day better. And also, like I said, try to find something to find an escape away from the world, away from the rest of the world. Movies, video games, working out, especially working out. A lot of people got to start working out. Drawing, reading, dancing, playing an instrument, writing music, songs on how you're feeling, writing your own book. There's a lot of things that you can do to just vent out on your own. So go ahead and try something. Go for a walk, run, be alone for a little bit. There's nothing wrong with being alone for a little bit. For a little bit, I say. All right. Well, that's it for today, at least for this one. Next week is going to be the first week where I have somebody on the show. So we'll see how that goes. And hopefully people will get more interested, because other people's stories are what really, really gets to people. So the more stories you hear, hopefully on this show, you'll see that you're not really alone. A lot of people are going through a lot of stuff, and hopefully one of their stories will either inspire you or just make you feel like you're a better person in general. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, just because you think you're worthless or useless or something doesn't mean everybody else in this world also thinks that. If anything, like one person said, you're amazing. You're just amazing. Well, that's it, guys. Hope to see you guys next time. And try to find an escape. Even if it's just from school, or from work, or from life. Always gotta have something to be free. Till next time.